Up the wires. Up the wires. Up the wires.
Hey, what's going on here? It's the off season. What are we doing on YouTube? I don't know. My name is Jared Cronin. Welcome to Warriors Anonymous. Special day today because, well, it's draw day. Not draft day, but draw day, which is very exciting for a lot of people around the country, around all of Australasia, around the world. Any Wires fan is currently, going through the draw, checking things out and seeing what they like and what they don't like. So we thought we'd better talk about it. So we've got the boys on. We've got Isaac Sauce with Mr. Sad Face behind him, bro. How are you?
Not sad. Quite happy.
We're going to use you as a happy, sad, a marker on
happy.
Yeah, what we like about the draw, what we maybe don't. Also got Daniel Wharakura. He's all smiles, although one of the old calves has gone.
Yeah, just adult social netball, eh? It's a killer.
Oh, yeah.
Killer for those calves, but
netball responsibly, bro.
On my first rodeo.
Yeah, unlucky, bro, unlucky. We've also got, from Warrior Nation, a main man, Richie Morgan, who is here to cover the plethora of Warrior Nation action that's going to be going on with the draw, bro. How are you, man?
Good, brother. Very good to be here, man. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to having the chat with you guys. And I know we seem to be a long way away from the start of the season, but not really. It's only about 13 weeks. Let's get into it.
That's right. Let's get into it, indeed. There's a bit of, obviously, we've had a look at the Warriors draw, and we've broken it down between our home and away games. So there's a bit to go through here. So we've broken them up. First of all, we've got our home games. So we'll chat to, I guess, Isaac and Daniel about their thoughts on the home games and which ones you'll be going to. First of all was the opener, the season opener, which is going to be a home game, yay, against the Cronulla Sharks. Also, another yay is that it will be played on Daniel Wharakura's birthday. So is there a potential, birthday present going on there, Buddha?
Potentially, although I was... one thing that's annoyed me is that I thought this was meant to come out last week, Friday, but I know there was some kind of mix up with the clubs, not been happening with a few fixtures as well. So, which coincided with Air New Zealand pumped a whole lot of like cheap flights, but the problem is you couldn't book the flights without knowing when the games were, what days were, that sort of thing. But anyway, minor issue. But potentially could be a good way to open up the campaign and get a win on the birthday. So. Definitely, one to get along to.
Yeah, it's been funny, isn't it? The number of leaks that have gone on in recent days. Different bits about the draw. Here's the opening week, and here's the opening 5 weeks, and here's particular games later on in the year, Magic Round and whatnot. So by the time we actually got to draw day, we kind of knew quite a bit of what was going on. But Isaac, when you look at this home draw that we've got, of course, the Sharks, week 1. The Raiders in week 3, week 4, up against the Knights. Sea Eagles in week 6. We get an Anzac Day game, hooray, which is not against the Melbourne Storm. Then week 11, we go to Magic Round for a home game. But Richie will enlighten us on that because that's going to be a massive event. Then we got the Dolphins, the Storm, coming to play us, hooray. The Broncos, Tigers, Eels, and Bulldogs as the season goes on. But Isaac, when you look at a draw like that from our home perspective, how do you see things as a Warriors fan?
My only bugbear with the home draw is Penrith in Brisbane for Magic Round. I mean, it is a massive festival, huge event, but it would have been nice to play Penrith in our own backyard because we need all the help we can get to beat Penrith. I mean, we're still gonna have an awesome level of support at Magic Round, but it's just not quite the same. And I'll take every advantage we can get when you're playing a team again like Penrith. But everything else, I really love. Interesting about the Anzac Day match against the Gold Coast. Anyone have any idea why that's flipped the script?
Did we play them? I think we played them last time we played a home Anzac game from memory. For some reason, I remember them being the last team we played.
Yeah, I was trying to.
I think it was. But I mean, yeah, I think about the way you think about the Penrith match, Isaac. I feel that about the Storm game, and I kind of thought we might get an Anzac Day match against them at home, we give them a warm welcome. Richie, what are your thoughts on how that is turned out?
It just goes to show how powerful the Storm are, and potentially the financial side of things for the Storm, and what money it does generate revenue-wise for them. That was, I think, we've always been a bit in the media about that, discussing about how much revenue it does take and how it's sold out. And I've been to a few of those games, and ticket prices in the away supporters bay are quite expensive for a corner, tiny away bay. So I think it's just got something to do with that, where the NRL wanted to accommodate us, accommodate the Warriors with having a game in New Zealand, but they weren't willing to sacrifice, or Melbourne weren't willing to sacrifice their gate takings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Makes perfect sense.
I mean, now they've kind of got an advantage, haven't they? Because before they were saying, "Oh, we can't split up the Warriors Melbourne game," and now that they've done it, all of a sudden they've got a triple header on Anzac Day. They play us in the early game, the Roosters, Chooks in the next game, and then the game in Melbourne, whoever they may be playing against in the later game. So, Daniel, have you got any particular games marked down on the home stretch? Obviously, we've got one game in Christchurch as well, which is the round 3 game against the Raiders, part of a great initiative as well. But are you looking at any of these home games, and have you just done a little bit of circling on the calendar and going, hey, maybe I could get a bit of a weekend away here or whatnot?
Yeah, 100%, man. So the Christchurch game has a lot of appeal. I just think, it's not too far for us in the southern end of the country. They've obviously signed a 3-year deal to go to Christchurch as well. And Christchurch are pretty hearty Warriors supporters as well. So yeah, the planning is in motion to get down to that game as well. Obviously, the Anzac Day game, it's I think it's one to really put on the calendar for a lot of home fans as well to get to. It obviously coincides on a public holiday, and you can make a nice little fist of it of a long weekend. So yeah, that's definitely a highlight as well. We touched on Magic Round. At some stage, love to get there. I guess the only thing for me, and as a Warriors fan, you'd love to play someone else on Magic Round, right? To actually give us some Magic. Although, to be fair, we did extremely well last time, and as you said, got a lot of support too. But other than that, look, I think it's kind of, probably the Broncos game is probably one that you, as a Warriors fan, you think, okay, it should be worth going to. And I think that game was scheduled at the end of an Origin. So I think it possibly week 2, Origin 2. So there could be a chance that they're down a few troops as well. So that's a good spattering of games. But yeah, definitely Christchurch for me and the Anzac game, eh?
Yeah, nice. Isaac, looking at the games that we are hosting, which ones are you looking at as must-wins for us?
Well, you've got Newcastle, you've got Penrith, you've got the Storm and the Broncos that were all in that top 8 last year. Am I missing any of the other teams? Did any of those other teams make top 8? The Sharks? I can't even remember.
Sharks.
Raiders.
Sharks. Vaguely made it.
But, if you'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 8 teams in that home draw, you can win 60% of them. That'd be pretty handy to do. But again, it's about taking every advantage you can get. And this year, surely on the back of the success of last season, the crowds should just be fierce. It's going to be the 19th man, 18th man type scenario for our team. So to be able to pull out, 3 out of those 5 games would be pretty handy at home.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Well, that's the run of home games. So all in all, that side of things pretty decent. I think all things considered, I think Warriors fans would be all in all pretty chuffed with that. So as we look at the away matches, we're also going to talk about. Oh, something's going on in the background here. We're also going to talk about the Magic Round game as well. I know it's classed as a home game, but it's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on for it. So, Richie, from the Warrior Nation perspective, though, what do you think is your first reaction to the lineup of Storm Bunnies, Dragons, Knights, Chooks, as well as Cowboys, Titans, Bulldogs, Raiders, Dolphins, Eagles, and Sharks away.
The first thing that jumped out to me, we've already touched on it, was the Magic round. It was sort of like, here we go, we've got another. Thank you, NRL, giving us another home game against the defending premiers again. That was the first thing that annoyed me. But like Daniel said, we actually performed pretty well in that game last year. We had a great support from it, as we always do in Brisbane, and a couple of moments in that match that just made things a little bit too hard. Dimitri Sifikula moment, striking action. That those two key words that I don't think I'm going to forget for a while. But yeah, that game jumped out at me. But that round is always a huge game, and we're going to be on again at the Lord Alfred Hotel. It's becoming, after the success and the huge success with the team last year, with the fans coming from everywhere. I think everyone pretty much knows the home Warrior Nation in Brizzy now is the Lord Alfred Hotel. So I don't think we're going to have any problems. And the management already last year basically said, doesn't matter when you guys play in Brisbane, the rooms are booked for you. Your supporters are fantastic, and they're always very well behaved. So it's going to be on again at the Lord Alfred Hotel for that huge event, even though it's on a Sunday, so a 1:50 game. The Warriors fans will be there from open. It's about 10 a.m. I think. It'll give us some time to get together, have a bit of fun, have a bit of chat and talk about it, and get up on that balcony and get some chants going. So yeah, it's going to be another awesome event.
Is that move to a Sunday game from the Warriors' perspective? Is that a bit of an upgrade for us? Have we been bumped up the order, so to speak, in terms of where we've been placed?
I think so, because that Sunday afternoon game's the prime, Sunday afternoon primetime footy, really. Look, it's the purest. Like, by the time of that game, we've been to a couple of Magic rounds, and by the time on that Sunday, the crowd starts, except for the supporters base, the stadium's not as full traditionally in the past, what I've noticed, compared to the Saturday night, the epic Saturday night party night, so to speak, bit of entertainment, drinking with the crew. So I'm happy with that time, actually, on the Sunday 1:50. It's a good little time to get in and get out, you know what I mean? And maybe a bit of an ambush this time around. The Mighty Wires, we can finally get one back up on them.
Yeah,
what do you think?
That'd be nice. That'd be very nice. Nothing but fond memories of this year's event. The pre-event was off the hook, and then the game itself was great fun as well. Myself and Raz Makiha were up in the stand there, enjoying a few cold drinks, which was nice. Now, in terms of other games that we've got on, Richie, you've mentioned that you're excited about the Bunnies game. Why is that, my friend?
It's just been so long since we've actually played South in Sydney. They always take the game to Sunshine Coast. Me being selfish, being Sydney-based boys, I'm all about the Sydney games, or Newcastle or Canberra, keeping it close to it. So when they take the games to bloody Queensland, it's just another airfare on top of the Gold Coast and Brisbane games. So it's better for my back pocket here financially. I'm sorry, Queensland Nation. Sorry to say that, but it's just been a long time. I've got some good memories, some games back in the early days, the late 90s, early 2000s, of playing Souths at Homebush, man, and I just something about that. And I was looking at the draw going through the whole away games in terms of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For being over here in Australia, the time and the day that the games are played on are pretty crucial for us to get supporters there, particularly in Sydney being a very heavily populated place with massive traffic issues. Last year, we copped a lot of games on a Friday night in Sydney at 6 p.m. kickoff, which meant people literally had to take the day off work or finish very early to get across town to get there in time for these games. Friday night, 6 o'clock game isn't ideal. This year, we've got 3 Friday night games. We've got 6 Saturday night games and 3 Sunday night games. So very fortuitous draw, I think, for us Sydney Warrior Nation fans, and there's no reason why all of these draws don't suit us. And just some of the times have been 3 p.m., 6 p.m. the Friday night game on an 8 p.m. time slot. They suit us. They suit us for us to get fans there from all over Sydney. So I'm predicting there's going to be some pretty cool get-togethers. And in terms of get-togethers, as per always, we love to organise functions and meetups here in Australia to really build on that fandom and that mateship and that community of who we are. So for us, it's awesome. I love a Warriors home game round 1 in New Zealand because it gives us a chance over here in Australia to have a season launch, so to speak, a bit of a get-together for round 1 to kick the season off. So we're going to be doing that for the game against the Sharkies on the 8th of March, the Friday night. So Sydney at the Hudson Hotel, which is our home in Sydney, and we'll do events in Brisbane and Melbourne as well. And then I've already booked accommodation today for Melbourne for the game in round 2. Man, that's going to be weird in a way, but exciting because the season's only young. So everyone's going to be pretty pumped up and pretty positive with going to Melbourne for round 2, regardless if we're 1-1 or we've lost a game. Hopefully 1-1. So going to Melbourne on a Saturday night round 2, I think we're going to pack out the Holly Harbour Bar where we have our meetups in Melbourne every year. It's going to be pretty exciting to get that out of the way, but weird that it's not an Anzac Day vibe. So it's going to be pretty cool. You guys ever been over to Melbourne for a trip, boys? Would you consider coming over?
I've never been to a game.
Or is the Magic Round override everything?
It's money.
Money overrides everything.
Cash rules everything around me.
Cash rules everything around me.
I know. Boys, on that,
stand out. The two that stand out for me, and I know you talked about obviously getting up to Queensland's a bit tough as well, but just based on last year, what I thought was probably a 60-40 Warriors crowd at Seabus. Huge support in the Goldie. And then, going to what I'd consider the home of league. It might sound a bit blasphemous, but talking about Suncorp. And we owe the Dolphins. We last round of the season, we were already home and hosed, but we got towed up. But we also had amazing support there as well. So, that two that kind of really jump out. But I'm definitely keen to get to at least a Sydney game as well. So, Melbourne, I've been to Melbourne, great spot. Probably early in the season to get to Melbourne, but once you get on the sort of the bandwagon, when everyone starts jumping on the overseas trips as well, it's hard to sort of say no. So I'm one of those guys, rubber arm. Someone books it, I'll be there.
Yeah, no, it's man. You spoke about those Queensland games, and absolutely every year, Gold Coast and Brisbane, and that's why 10 years ago when I first started trying to organise events at the Lord Alfred back in 2014. The reason why I did it is because it's a very much an experience occasion. It's like a bit of a trip, either the Queenslanders, their motivation was the fact that in Queensland they didn't get many games. So 1 or 2 games a year or maybe 3. So they're bloody pumped. And then for New South Wales people or Victorians, we could just fly up. It wasn't as a nice little trip up to sunny Queensland. So that's always had success to be huge. So yes, we're definitely going to be doing the Magic Round event. Round 16 versus Titans. This year was huge. We had a massive support, and the Warriors did an official event where they sanctioned it at a venue before the game, and a lot of ex-players came. You may have seen it on social media. They gave away prizes. It was an event that was open for members, but for everybody this year. It will be an official membership event. So if you're an Australian away member, I highly recommend to join the membership. Just regardless of the cost, just go and do it. Because you are going to want, once the boys start winning, they get the season on a roll again, you're going to want to attend these meetings and all these events, and you're not going to be able to. So become a member, and that will be in another event. I'm sure the Warriors guys last year, the membership team, after speaking to them, said it was such a success. They're definitely planning on doing something again for this year. So watch this space for that. And then obviously round 23, be the Finns at Suncorp. Again, Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. If that's not the ultimate time to watch footy, I don't know what is. So again, that's going to be at the Lord Alfred. It'll be packed out. Officially, the Lord Alfred is the Dolphins hotel. They actually that they sponsor them, but the management of the pub love us so much. They're like, no, we don't care. We're going to give you guys your space because we love you guys so much. So that just goes to show the Warriors fans how awesome we are, man, and how much we just love our team and love being together as one. And everyone supports each other. There's no time for dickheads. It's just really awesome. So pretty exciting for Queensland. Got a couple little sneaky things up my sleeve where I'm hoping to get something across the line this year for Australian-based fans, and for any Kiwis that want to come over. We're looking at doing a bus trip for the Knights game in round 9. So we've done bus trips during COVID, and they were just the most spoken about events. And this year, I got so many times I got asked, Richie, are we doing the buses again? Can we do the buses again? So I'm on the lookout for potential partners or sponsors to try to get some revenue, so we can try and make this affordable for all and make it such a fun event, and we can hopefully make it sustainable so it can be a continuous event every year. So yeah, that's a potential bus trip on Sunday, May the 5th. I think we play at 2 p.m, so we'll be a meet up somewhere early and buses to the game, and we'll be back in Sydney sort of by 7, 8 o'clock at night after the game, which would be a pretty cool bus trip. So that's something we've got up our sleeve. And then another game that I just love in the Warrior Nation crew and Ruin Hammer, we love getting down to Canberra. So just, although it's a Friday night game, this game is at 8 o'clock in Sydney time, which is different. Usually it's 6 o'clock on Friday night we cop those games, so it's at 8 p.m. in New Zealand. The scheduling this year is 8 p.m. Sydney Canberra time, so it's going to be a 10 p.m. kickoff in New Zealand.
Prime time.
But we love getting down to Canberra in that supporters base. It's becoming quite an awesome little trip down the freeway, and we're packing up the supporters base, so that'll be on again. All in all, it's a pretty awesome draw. We play, as I said, 3 Friday night games, 6 Saturday night games, and 3 Sunday night games. And one of the, I suppose, big takeouts, which I find quite amusing, and I'm going to put my twist on it. I don't care what anyone else thinks, but there's no game at CommBank versus Parramatta this year. And I'm pretty pissed off because I love that stadium, and we all know what happened last year. The crowd, sort of bit of media exposure off the back of that with Sir Peter Leach up in the stand banging their drum, and the chants, the Warriors chants, overpowering the Parramatta chants of that game. It was pretty cool. That was the one that sort of really took off, the exposure for Warrior Nation across the ditch and also across many places in Australia. So I'm pretty annoyed, and I don't blame Parramatta for kicking us out, because why would they want the Warriors chant across in their beautiful brand new stadium?
Yeah, they're scared, bro. They're scared. It is
They're
no
scared,
stadium
man. Too noisy.
That's exactly it. Isaac, from just a sort of first impression standpoint, I looked at this away draw and I thought getting the Storm in round 2 and also maybe getting the Knights a bit earlier in the season than we have before in round 9. I kind of looked at those games and thought they might be reasonable times to try and maybe catch them a little bit cold. What are your overall thoughts of the away schedule?
I pretty much thought the same thing. Like, if playing these top tier teams, I think the first block of 8, the first third of the season, we're playing some quite highly ranked teams, and I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing to test where we're at, and you sort of catch these other teams, trying to feel out where they are as a club as well. We're pretty settled, so I think we've got every opportunity to sort of make some big dents in that first 8 games. So that includes those games you were talking about, maybe bar the Newcastle one, which is round 9. But I think it's just a good opportunity for us to catch these teams off guard and bank some points, because I feel like the second and thirds of the season, I think we've almost got it kind of sewn up, really. Like, it looks like a really good run in those other 2/3 of the season. So making some headway in the first third of the season is going to be important.
Yeah, for sure. Now, those are the games that we are playing. Probably one of the crucial aspects. Here we go as well. These are the teams that we are playing. We've got a couple of matchups. Well, we've got obviously 8 matchups where we take on twice, home and away, closer each day. And the other 8 teams, we play them only once. So we've got the Sharkies, the Storm, Raiders, Knights, Sea Eagles, Titans, Dolphins, Bulldogs twice. And on the other side of the fence, we've only got the Panthers, Broncos, Eels, Rabbitohs, and the Chooks once, and a few more teams there. But Richie, are you? Let's see. If you were to, make a little bit of a change to the draw,
Yep.
Are there any of these teams that you would maybe swap from one side to the other? Maybe prefer to take on twice, or otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. Swap Melbourne to, we'll play Melbourne once and we'll play Tigers twice. We'll just organise that straight off the bat. Be nice. Play Sharks once and Dragons twice also. Can I please lock those in? Thanks, Eddie.
Let's lock this in. Let's give them a call.
All jokes aside, look, it's very funny because I was looking at that at the Tigers with the one game. And, of course, we do this every time. We all base everything on the last results. We all think the Tigers are pathetic, and they have been pretty bad of late. But this top 8 from last year, you look at that, and there's teams that we all thought at the start of the year should have been in it. You know, South should have been in the 8. Eels should have been in the 8. Cowboys should have been in the 8. Maybe Manly should have been in the 8, but they weren't. So we all have no idea of what's going to happen this year. Jokingly, I'd like to play the Tigers twice. But, man, all jokes aside, I'm really content with the draw, the home and away. There's not really much there that I can really bitch about except for playing a bloody home game in Brisbane. Where Brisbane is playing away and Dolphins are playing away. I'll add. Can you believe that? Brisbane's game's away and the Warriors have to play at home. Come on. Come on.
I can believe that.
Same as last year.
That's right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, indeed. So that's our 1-2-1-2. The games that you don't play are sometimes some of the most important ones throughout the season. And Daniel, we've got a big run early season before we get our first bye. We don't get the first one until around 13. How crucial is that period for our overall chances next year?
That's the key, really, because if you think back to how we were travelling in the first part of the year, this year, the bye came at a good time for us. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was sort of around 8-9 time. We've got a bigger stretch to get to the bye, and we actually copped a few key injuries early on in the season. We seem to kind of balance it out at the end of the season in terms of personnel, but it's a big stretch to that first bye. And then I think we got lucky last season, but I don't think we capitalised on the fact that we only had one bye, in that pre-Origin rounds. Those Origin rounds where only half the teams are playing, you've got byes before Origin players are available. So this year we get hit with 2 in that space as well. So we don't get a lot of fortune out of that, but traditionally we've always been strong over the Origin rounds as well. So and I guess if you replay last year, copy and paste if you could, amazing, happy days. Every single team who's going for the 8 or will be in the 8 would bite your arm off to have 2 points banked in round 27 and a week off to freshen up for the final. So. I think tough start, big stretch, but it sets us up nicely to get some rest in the back end.
Yeah, for sure. I remember us actually talking about how they do the AFL before the finals. They have a bye week for every team, and it was like, well, should we do that in the NRL as well? Because a lot of those games in that final week were a bit sort of a little bit hairy in terms of who was playing and some of the results, but. Isaac, if you had a magic wand looking at the buys, what would you make any changes to what we've got there in rounds 13, 19, 27?
Yeah, I think kind of to Dan's point, I mean, round 13 for our first buy, that's 3 months. It's a bit of a stretch, and it's a long season. Injuries do happen. And again, we've got a pretty tough draw in that first sort of 8 to 9 weeks, and suffering injuries would hurt, and a bye would really help in that sort of instance. But that's probably the only thing I would change. If you could bring that bye round a little bit closer to home, like around 8 or around 9, there'll be perfect timing after a tough stretch. But it kind of just is what it is. But on the back end, rounds 19 and 27, I think the timing of those 2 buys are pretty good. I mean, if last season was anything to go by, that's when we really started, really hit our straps around that sort of period, those periods of time. and just to have troops rested up, it's going to be ideal. And then obviously at the end of the season, just to get a nice little break. It's pretty cool.
I was half expecting us to get the first week of the season as a bye, just to kind of
knock the wind out of our sails, knock the wind out of the sails of the support. Like, how cool would that be?
Man, you look at that round, boys. You look at that first. I've just had a bit of another glance over that round, that first 12 weeks. Man, it's like this. It was like this year, man. We had our backs against the wall, man. We had a really tough run. We did a lot of travel. You look at rounds from round 5 to round 10. We fly to Sydney for South. We fly to Dragons on a Friday night. We fly back to Newcastle. Then the next week we fly to the Roosters.
Yep.
That round 9, 10, and 11, where we fly to Newcastle, we fly to Sydney, then we fly to Brisbane for Magic Round. That stretch. If you really break it down, it's going to be a real reckoning. It's going to be, I think, season defining in the way of where we sit after that round 12. That round 13, Saucy said it, man. It can't come soon enough. That round 13 by. I'm really intrigued to see how the team, how it ends out, and how it plays out, and how we take shape. Injuries, like look at last year, every second week there's an injury. But it felt like this season, the more we were up against the wall, the more the resilience grew. So it's going to be very interesting with the expectations on the back of last season's success to how we pan out. It's going to be very interesting, but man, a tough first 12 weeks, boys.
Yeah, for sure. And it does take you back to that sort of round 8 to 11 kind of patch where we had like almost 3 rounds. I think about 3 games within like 11 days, something like that.
Yep.
At the peak of our probably our injury sort of crisis. And I know, pressure creates diamonds, but anyways, they've got a pretty even split across the day games and night games as well this year.
Yeah.
Interested to see. I'm always interested. Living in Australia, I always find it interesting to see which games we get on prime time. So there's a couple in there which is about par for us. And obviously the time zones work a lot better for the Warriors playing in the earlier games, shall we say? Also, just a slight note, when we were talking about the times of the kickoffs before, all the times that I'd shared were all in New Zealand time. So just in case anyone was watching along, going, hang on a second, what do you follow?
Sorry to confuse anyone if I'll start throwing out times as well, because they're all in AEDT. So sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. And then when does daylight savings kick in? And I don't know when.
Too much.
It's Father's Day.
Father's Day. Sunday.
Sunday's Father's Day.
All right, boys. Well, look, it's it's a real interesting sort of thing. Obviously, draws are funny things in that you can really get stuck into what's the nitty gritty, but things can change by the time we actually get to the start of the season. So, so that's going to be an interesting one to see. Like your point, Richie, about what the Tigers will be like this year. I'd like to think that Benji might have a bit of a positive impact with them.
Hope so.
Isaac's just getting attacked there by his cat. Watch out!
It's coming at me.
Oh, good. Just a final word around you fellas. We'll start with you, Isaac, the man under attack there, the man under siege, Steven Seagal. Bro, what's your overall feeling having looked at the entire draw for our team next year?
As James Brown would say, I feel good.
Right.
I feel good about it. I feel good. I actually quite like the draw. I quite like it. Like I said before, first, third, going to be a bit of a battle, but I like that. I think the Warriors will be a good time for them to test where they're at. And then thirds 2 and 3, I feel like, hey, we should win a majority of those games. So top 4, here we come.
I feel like I should have, when I asked you that question, I should have got you to bring old mate from behind you forward and then put a smile on your face and either point to yourself or what was it? What's the name again?
Hung
you down. That's it. Yeah, the old.
Well, I reckon that's the draw. Yeah. No, I feel good about the draw. I really feel good about the draw, to be honest.
Good stuff.
So yeah,
love it. Daniel, your overall opinions of things?
Yeah, if you ask me, the top 5 teams I only want to play once is Penrith, Broncos, Chooks, Rabbits, and Eels. And bang, we got them. So we only got them once. So I definitely take that as well. And then apart from that, other observation is obviously they decided not to push the games around further around the country, around New Zealand. I don't mind that. Look, Christchurch, they've obviously locked that deal in. Shame not to have a Wellington game for us Wellingtonians, but I think the debacle of Napier probably set the tone of, we need to be mindful. And saying that, the other thing is, although this might sound really bad, but home games around the country are great for fans, but they're not the greatest for the team because they're actually having to travel and be elsewhere as well. So that actually is a bit upsetting as well. So we want as Richie pointed out, there's a massive block of travel. But where possible, you want them to be settled, play a couple of games back to back rather than being back here training and then shooting off to another city in the country. So
good call.
But
especially when you consider, like the itinerary, the travel itinerary is the hardest by a million miles in the NRL. So anything they can do to kind of lighten that. Also, just on the Christchurch subject, I've had a little word with Richie about this last week, but I reckon we need to start looking at booking some tickets for 2026 when they get the old big dome ready down in Christchurch, because I think that game could be something else. So just something to just put that on your radar, and if anyone else is watching, keen.
Can you just put an asterisk here, because I don't think it's going to be finished by 2026.
Stop it! No, stop it! Don't say that. No, we're going to be there. Warrior Nation.
No.
There might not be a dome, but we'll be there.
Maybe not
round one
for a while. It takes
round 126, maybe round 27.
Yeah, maybe it takes a long time to build shit in this country.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Great idea.
Just being honest.
Let's think positively. Now, Richie, before we bounce out, bro, how can the people get involved with Warrior Nation and find all the information, and what's your overall sort of advice heading into the new year?
Obviously, jump on Warrior Nation. Thank you, G. Jump on Warrior Nation Facebook page or Instagram page. Also follow Ruin Hammer. Follow Warriors Uncut, or also through yours truly, Warriors Anonymous. Together, we're trying to keep growing the support either in New Zealand and in Australia. So just make sure you follow, you share, you tell all your friends if they don't know about Warrior Nation. Find us, follow us, say hello. All of the information in regards to Australian-based supporters base, where we're going to sit, where we're going to meet, what time the games are, bus trips, any obviously events if you're coming over for the New Zealand games that we'll be televising, having meetups in venues, find it all through those guys. So we've got a really cool crew of digital content creators here in Australia. I'm glad to be a part of the crew. As I mentioned, Ruin Hammer, those boys are doing some really good things, and they help me with everything in terms of driving support together. They've got access to the players via their interviews, so they get them to ex-Warriors to a lot of our meetups as well, which just adds to the fan event and the whole occasion. Warriors Uncut, old Raz Makiha, he's just, passion through and through. I love that guy, and what he does is just completely different. And then also with what you gents do with Warriors Anonymous together, we're the official Waztan clan, boys.
I like it.
Waztan clan. Good. Yeah, so keep joining up. I'm going to try and organise a Warrior Nation. Besides the bus trip, I forgot to mention, there's I was very lucky last year to come over to New Zealand for back-to-back games at Mount Smart. There was a Sunday game and then a Friday night game in consecutive weeks. And they were both, I'm pretty sure they were Golden Point games, and one of them was we had 2 Golden Point games back-to-back in under 20s in the reserve grade as well. But this year, there's another little opportunity for Warrior Nation supporters across Australia. You want to get over to New Zealand, round 21 and round 22. Ooh. We play 2 Friday night games back to back in Auckland versus the Tigers and versus the Eels. So I think there's an opportunity for a little 8-day getaway, a couple of lunches or dinners with Warrior Nation crews at a couple of pubs during the week, little supporters get-togethers, and 2 games that we can get some tickets for. So round 21, round 22, keep that written down, G. Mount Smart versus, Go Media Stadium, apologies, versus the Tigers, round 21 and round 22 versus Parramatta Eels.
I'll start drafting up
Yeah.
I'll start drafting up the email to my boss now, bro. Hey,
Yep.
is he in Z? Might need to do a bit of work on the ground.
1 week off, G. Leave Friday morning, Friday night game, and you can come home on the Saturday. So it's literally just 1 week and 6 days off work for two matches.
I'll make it a working holiday.
Sounds like a package to Flight Center or something. 8-day getaway for the Warriors.
What's
8 days, 7 nights. All-inclusive package.
All-inclusive package.
Oh, I love it.
I'm excited about it. I reckon, just following what you gents all said, I'm pretty happy. The draw's very even. We play 11 top 8 teams and we play 13 last year's bottom 9 teams, and play Penrith once and the Broncos once, Souths once and the Eels once. So I'm with you, man. It's and the Roosters. So it's a pretty good even draw. Let's see where it goes. Let's see what team who's playing for our club from now until round 1. You never know. We'll talk about that later on. But yeah, thanks very much for having me on, boys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much for joining us. And before you made mention about the Watang clan as well. Just before we go, that I know that Isaac has already bagged the name Old Dirty Isaac. So
Stop that.
Sure have.
he's got it. He's bags it.
That's awesome.
Baby, I like the was. Ooh, baby, I like the was.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I like that. I like that.
Can I be method?
Here we come.
I'll be method.
2024.
Yes. METHOD, man.
Man.
MOGGAN, man. MORGAN, man.
Morgan, man.
Nah, boys, we have to get some photo work done and get some shirts printed up for that. Well, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Gotta be better than this hoodie.
That's right.
That's
Awesome,
cute.
fellas. It's been an absolute treat joining you on Draw Day. Something we just made up, but it's been awesome, and I'm really excited, extra excited now from having seen that draw and from having spoken to you guys. So, on behalf of Isaac Sauce, Daniel Wharekura, and Richie Morgan from Warrior Nation, my name is Jared Cronin. This has been Warriors Anonymous in the off season. Just a bit of a surprise, Hey, we're around. So we will see you soon, heading into 2024. Up the Waz, go the Warriors!
Cheers, boys.